They say men lie, women lie, but numbers doesn't lie. What do the numbers say about the victory of your Clemson Tigers over the Charleston Southern Buccaneers in week 2? I'll tell you next on the Locked On Clemson podcast.
You are Locked On Clemson, your daily podcast on the Clemson Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Clemson family? Welcome back to the Locked On Clemson podcast, your daily podcast covering your Clemson Tigers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your boy, Damian Parson, always on the ones and twos. You can find and follow me on Twitter at DP_NFL. You know that I am the founder of the Scouting Room, as well as a part of the co-host team of the Locked On NFL Draft podcast and National Scout over with the Draft Network. Thank you guys for tapping in and making Locked On Clemson your first listen today and every day. Happy Monday to you, okay? Thank y'all for being my every dayers, man. Well, we have a fun show, just kind of going through week 2, recapping and everything before the film drops and I get access to it, and watching NFL football all day on this weekend or Sunday. So being able to get through the film, break that down and bring that to you guys for tomorrow. But on today's show, we're going to talk about the pass rush. They need to get home. What do the numbers tell us about all these things? I'm going to give that information to you. No deep shots into the passing game. The back-to-back weeks of no deep shots. We're going to talk about that. And the offensive line rebounded, huh? We're going to get into all of that coming up next. But before we do that, today's episode of Locked On Clemson is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 back in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. Guys, the pass rush for your Clemson Tigers, it must improve. It has to get better. And I'm going to tell you guys what I mean by that. Because, of course, what like I did last week, right? When PFF dropped their numbers, what did I do? I brought that to you guys. And I'm going to do that every single time. I'm going to do an instant reaction, but I'm also bring it to you from the numbers and then bring it to you from the film side. So right now, off of the numbers, what do the numbers say off of this week 2 victory? The numbers showed 31 hurries, 3 QB hits, and 2 sacks, right? And that's good, right? Xavier Thomas, man, another game where he had 5 or more hurries and pressures. But, on Saturday, he got his sack as well. When he just completely ran over the right tackle, showed that speed to power conversion, everything. And he's been flashing, right? But to me, I think he's going to be the number 1 sack artist on this team, and they're going to need him to be. He's the most physically gifted guy on the defensive line, right? Besides TJ Parker, who's a true freshman. XT, I need to see more pass rush, like getting home. I think that's the big thing, right? Because pressures are great. You want pressures to be consistent. But if you're just pressuring, you're not hurrying all the time, right? And the big key is if you're not getting a high amount of sacks, how impactful are you as a pass rusher, or just a pass rusher in general? How impactful are you? And that's the question that I come with, basically. I'm struggling with that right now, guys, because looking at this pass rush, and I'm going to pull it up here per PFF, right? We're going to look at between the 2 weeks. Again, for 2 weeks, not just one game, 31, 3, 2 sacks, 3 QB hits, 31 total pressures, or somewhere in there. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna go by game because I want to make sure this thing is giving me the right information. Because it did show I can go by game, but because we saw because I'm pretty sure that if I remember correctly, you had with the pass rush. So they had to, okay. So yeah, no, that is wrong. They had 24 hurries in week 1. So let's do this over, okay? Let's do this over. They had 24 hurries in week 1 versus Duke, 2 QB hits, but no sacks. And Xavier Thomas was a man on the mission then. He had 6 hurries. So he's got 12 hurries in 2 games and 1 sack. I need those hurries, those pressures to be converted to sacks. The pass rush needs to get home. All pressures and hurries are sacks that weren't completed. They need to do this. They need to get in the backfield and make those plays, bring these quarterbacks down. Because think about the benefits of it. 5-yard sack on 2nd and 10. Now it's 3rd and 15. Now you get to really pin your ears back. You can back your secondary off, play to the sticks, force them to something underneath, and then you rally to the football. I'm just telling you that's how the NFL does it, and I know that's how good coaches in college football do it as well. You think about on 1st and 10, and you get a 3-yard sack. Boom. Now it's 2nd and 13. So now you kind of take the run game away. They might try to run it, right? They might try to show you some pass stuff and then try to run it to give themselves a 3rd and 7. 3rd and 6 are manageable, right? 3rd and manageable, but still, yet you put them behind the sticks. Anytime you can get sacks and create yards, yards for loss and tackles for loss in the backfield. So they need to get home. They need to get home because this has to change, guys. It has to change, man. It has to. There's no way. There's absolutely no way that you can walk through this situation and feel comfortable with what we've seen. Right? Like, yes, I would say they're getting pressures, they're creating hurries, and that's great. But I need to see more, right? So you look at the pass rush from this past week, right? Against a inferior competition. They did dominate the line of scrimmage and everything. Like, they were really, really tough on Charleston Southern and everything, right? Like, they were tough. They got back there, they did what they needed to do. Things like I said, they got the sacks or whatnot, and everything was great, right? So you feel good about it. But like totally, so like I need to see not just Xavier Thomas, right? TJ Parker's getting in the backfield, so a little bit of Cade Dinoff. Like, I want to see more of these guys get back there and make the type of plays that we know they can make. You know, I'm just scouring through here on the pass rush and then the defense and everything else, and I'm just looking through. Right? I'm just looking through to see what's what and everything, and to me that's a big part, right? Is with Florida State coming into town soon, if you don't get into the backfield, if you don't first of all, you have to cage Jordan Travis in, or he's gonna make play after play after play with his legs. So if you cage him in, right, you cage him in, and then you bring him down. So because he's like Houdini back there. So I think we got Florida Atlantic this week. So I want to see sacks. I want to see 5-6 sacks. This was what you should have. That's what we should have had against Charleston Southern. Now, granted, they didn't have the possession to have the ball a ton, and they tried to run the ball more with like the little speed options, triple options, stuff like that. I get that. But when they had to throw, you wanted to see the defensive line really get back there. The defensive line was stout versus the run, and they did solid, against the pass as well. But yes, like I think so. Looking at the numbers again, like for some reason PFF has been tripping. So between 2 games, so I pulled up. You got the Charleston Southern game, got Duke. 24 hurries against Duke, only 7 total hurries. Like, this is per PFF. Like I said, I'm gonna bring the film to you guys here, but I know some of you guys do appreciate the PFF stuff. For a pass rush, only 7 hurries. They did have 2 sacks and they had 1 QB hit versus Charleston Southern. Again, go back to the Duke game. A 24 hurries, so more hurries in that game. 2 QB hits, 0 sacks. So that's 31. Right, 31, 3, and 2. So that the number I had was correct. So between 2 games, right, 31 hurries and pressures, 3 QB hits, 2 sacks, and most of those numbers came against Duke and not against Charleston Southern. So that's a little concerning to me. Is that the defensive line was just not as dominant rushing the passer when they got the opportunities. But then let me look at, I want to make sure I do this correctly. You look at the pass rush reps. Yeah, it wasn't a whole lot. So that's the other reason too. Wasn't a ton. And then they pull guys off. The starters, once the lead was spread out, the starters did not really step on the field. So they took them off the field and everything. So I just want them to get home. 2 weeks, only 2 sacks. Get home, guys. Get home. And Florida Atlantic, we're going to talk about that later on this week, but just get home. That's all I need. Get home and make the plays, guys. But we want to talk about making the plays, the passing game. Garrett Riley, again, we with the screen game, the underneath game, no deep shots, no deep throws. We need to fix this. And I'm going to tell you why we need to fix it. Coming up next on the Locked On Clemson Podcast. Now, time for your game changer of the week, brought to you by Athletic Brewing Company. Much like wide receiver Bo Collins, Athletic Brewing Company has completely changed the non-alcoholic beer game. They make non-alcoholic beers that actually taste good. I chose wide receiver Bo Collins because he's coming off a big-time performance week 2 versus the Charleston Southern Buccaneers, and that was a game that he needed and his passing offense needed as well. Their brews for Athletic Brewing Company, their brews are great tasting and award winning. They even beat out full strength beers in global competitions. They brew over 50 styles of craft, non alcoholic beers, including IPAs, Goldens, sours, and so much more. Okay, guys, so much more. You can find Athletic Brewing in store, online, and at bars around the country. You can find Athletic Brewing Company's non-alcoholic brews in any of those places, especially online at athleticbrewing.com. First-time customers can use the promo code Locked On to get 15% off their first online order. Offensive coordinator Garrett Riley. All right, we talked about this last week, right, family? We talked about the fact that the passing game was a lot of what do you say, short passes in under the 10-yard range, things of that nature. And we talked about it. We wanted to see more. We wanted to see more in this game against Charleston Southern. Well, about that. We didn't. We did not. And I'm gonna pull it up for you guys. For those who are watching on YouTube, I'm gonna pull it up for you. I'm gonna show you what I'm looking at here really quickly. I'm gonna show you what I'm looking at, guys, and that is the passing chart, for this game with Cade Klubnik, right? So just not just Cade, but just the passing in general. Look at this. You see here, 34%, 34.2% of passes of the passes thrown in this game were behind the line of scrimmage. They threw 13 attempts. They were 12 of 13, 72 yards and a touchdown, right? Then you have in the 0 to 9 range, the short range, 13 attempts, 10 completions, 77% completion, 86 yards. That's actually, and then you had the interception in that situation as well. So what I'm saying is that I want you guys to just look at this here with me. Look at the 20%, 20 yards downfield. 5% of the attempts, only 2 attempts. You converted on one. One was 29-yarder and everything. But the money for me is where, especially with Cade. Cade has been really good in the 10 to 19 yard range, the intermediate, right? And so far, I mean, in this game, we were 5 of 8, 62, almost 63% completion, 128 yards, 16 yards per catch, and it looks like there was 3 touchdowns in that that medium intermediate range. But you got to get better with this, man. You got to take more deep shots. This is not going to beat Florida State. Okay, this is not going to be any good team because you're not creative. You're not keeping them honest. This is very conservative, and it doesn't help your offense. Now, yes, I completely agree with giving Cade those type of plays and everything that's going to allow him to get into rhythm and so forth and so on. But guys, absolutely not. This is not it, man. I'm telling you now, this is not it. I do not I don't like what I'm looking at here. And for you guys that's looking at it, I hope you don't like it either. Too many passes at or behind the line of scrimmage and under 10 yards. What are we doing here? You're handicapping your quarterback that way. And I said this during the live stream, after the live reaction on Saturday. I'm not blaming Dabo here. I'm not. This is on Garrett. This is his offense, guys. I'm telling you now, for those who keep thinking it's Dabo, I got it on good authority that Dabo's not calling this. He's not, his hand's not in this. For my wrestling fans, he's not Vince McMahon rewriting the script the night of Raw or the night of SmackDown Live. He's not doing those things. He's not booking the show. He's allowing Garrett Riley to call his plays and call his offense. And Garrett Riley is taking a way too conservative attack here. 2 weeks in a row. 2 weeks. And I get it, right? I talked about it Saturday. I totally understand. When you run the whole, what do you call it? Against Charleston Southern, you run the east-west stuff, you run the tempo, you tire them out. That's cool and all. But at the same time, You got to push the ball down the field. Cade has the arm strength, right? When I tweeted it out. When his upper body and lower body are in sync, he can drive throws. He's got a good arm. Let him attack downfield. He's not going to listen. I said this about Michigan going into the college football playoffs last year. Jim Harbaugh wanted to play conservative. Let's run the ball 75 times. Let's not throw the ball and let our young quarterback JJ McCarthy get into a rhythm. Well, what was going to happen when JJ McCarthy needed to get into a rhythm? You were going to be terrified of it because you've never seen him do it, right? Against TCU, against Garrett Riley, the team Garrett Riley was coaching on offense. JJ McCarthy had to come out of his shell and throw the football. He threw a pick 6. I think he threw 2, but he finally got into a rhythm and brought them back in the game, and they almost came back and won. But the point is, you don't want to put Cade in that situation to where it's, okay, you got to attack the field, right? When Florida State comes to town and they want you to attack because you haven't done it, right? So if they don't fear your weapons, you got to give them a reason to fear your weapons. People say, well, there's no athletes. Cole Turner's an athlete, okay? Antonio Williams can separate. It's on tape. He separates, all right? He does it. Like Jake Brenningstool can separate. It's on tape for him too. Guys, watch, like I promise you the emotions, the frustration I get. But I'm not blaming the athletes. I'm not blaming the receiving core. I'm not blaming these guys. Now, I blame the last year. I did blame them because they really weren't separating. But even Bo Collins, he's separating, right? They're getting open. But you got to test the deep portions of the field. All right? What happens when when you have to throw into the deep waters? I'm going to tell you, for my basketball fans, if you basketball fan, you really going to stick with me here. You're going to really like this. The Clemson Tigers offense is Ben Simmons right now. Okay? Let's get to the paint. Let's easy stuff, like quick stuff, easy stuff. It's easy money, right? Pick and roll, slash the puck to the bucket and get an easy layup, right? What happens when the defense says, I'm going to play you like we play Draymond Green. I'm going to back up off you. Shoot the 3. Shoot the 3, Ben Simmons. Then the anxiety, that fear kicks in. It's like, but I haven't taken any in-game shots. I haven't taken any in-game threes. I don't know if I'm gonna hit that. Well, good, because we don't think you're gonna hit it. So do it, right? Take the 3. And that's what this Clemson Tiger offense is right now from a passing standpoint, guys. It is Ben Simmons, because you are handicapping yourself to the easy stuff. The stuff you're comfortable with. And I know that there's some people that feel like, hey, just make it easy on Cade. This is not making it easy on Cade. You throw these quick stuff early in the game, right? That you script the first 15 plays, right? And you allow that to happen early in the game. And then you allow it to dictate the coverage and open up some deep shots for him. And you tell Cade, hey, if it's there, high-low reads, if it's there, Cade, let it rip. Throw it. Give your guy a chance. If it's Adam Randall going down the field as an X receiver on the sideline, right? One-on-one with him in a smaller DB, throw it up there. Big Adam, go make the play. You got to put it on the receivers then. Go make the play. If you can't make the play, then we're going to put somebody in that can. Right? Bo Collins, same thing. You're big body. Cole Turner, same thing. I know he was held out this game, but same thing. Right? Those are things you need to see. Jake Brenningstool, same thing, big fella. You're 6'6", 230. Go up there and make a play. Head top them, like they say in the NBA. I dunk on you. Do those things, but just relying so much, guys. I'm telling you right now. Matter of fact, I'm gonna pull it up before I end this segment and go and we get ready to close. I'm gonna pull up Cade real quick because I'm gonna look at his numbers, his passing numbers for the season. I'm gonna tell you, guys, you're not gonna like this. Now, I promise you're not gonna like this. So for the season, Cade Klubnik has thrown 57 passes under 10 yards, combining with behind the line of scrimmage and inside that 0 to 9 range, right? He has 273 passing yards and 2 TDs and 2 interceptions in that range of the field. Now, listen to this, where that's like literally clearly almost 40% of his pass attempts between the two. When he's 17 of his pass attempts for the season have come in at 10 to 19, that medium intermediate range, right? He is 10 of 14, 71% completion, 14 yards per attempt, 202 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. When he's targeting that portion of the field, PFF grades it with a 90.3. 90.3. This man has completed 20% of his passes down the field because he's only taken 5, only 6% on this season. So again, Garrett Riley, get it together, because if you don't, if you run this same crap against Florida State, you're going to get blown out of your own stadium. But we got to take care of Florida Atlantic first. But I'm telling you guys just what the numbers say about the passing attack. But you want to know who had a good day? Who had a good day against Charleston Southern? The offensive line. They rebounded, and I'm proud of them, and I'm happy for it. So what does the number tell us? I'm going to tell you coming up next on the Locked On Clemson podcast. Get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Guys, right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 back in bonus bets guaranteed. You hear me? Did you hear me? Let me repeat myself. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 back in bonus bets fully guaranteed. Plus, right now as well, all customers, not new, not just old, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. So that's a great deal. That's a great combination right there for you. If you're a football fan or sports fan with all the games, I have YouTube TV. And I promise you guys, Sunday ticket is amazing. And it's so much better on YouTube TV as well. So now is the best time to join FanDuel. The app is super easy to use, and you can bet on everything from the spread, player props, and so much more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season with an offer you will not want to miss, because FanDuel is the official partner of the NFL. Your offensive line played so much better, for the most part, versus the Charleston Southern Buccaneers. And when you look at it, guys, you talk about, how many, let's look at the numbers, right? This is what we talk about, the numbers. Protection-wise is vastly different from the Duke game. Only 3 pressures allowed, right? Only 2 QB hits, right? And then, three pressures, 2 hurries, and 1 QB hit allowed in this game. And those are numerous players played because, like I said earlier, they took the starters out after what, probably that run in the third quarter. The starters came out, except for I think Cade played a little bit longer, stuff like that. But Will Putnam was getting stout. He got greens all across the board for PFF in terms of his grade. He played 53 snaps. Blake Miller, he had a pass block grade of 42.5. He allowed a pressure and a hurry. I think it was 1 or 2 instances where I seen him get beat around the edge. I also saw him face first on the ground. It has to be better. He's got to be better, man. Because I'm very disappointed in what I seen. Like, I didn't like his tape. I continue to say I didn't like what I saw in 2022, but I didn't think it was going to be this bad to start the season. He just has not looked good or comfortable in a lot of different areas, right? But when you look at Walker Parks, he rebounded. He had a PFF grade in pass protection of 84. Then you have Marcus Tate with an 82.8. Neither one of those guys, left and right guard, in terms of Parks and Take, neither one of them gave up a pressure, a QB hit, or a hurry. Then you have Tristan Lay. Tristan Lay had a 79.5. So his pass block grade, who was in the green, I think last game versus Duke, he was like 71 or something like that. So he jumps up, right? He jumps up as well, and he goes up to the 79.5. He allowed 1 pressure, 1 QB hit, in his 37 snaps and his 26 pass blocking snaps. So the more snaps this young kid gets, I think he's going to be the truth. I think he's going to be a cornerstone at the left tackle position, but they got to figure out the right tackle position. Then you see good stuff from Mitchell Mays, coming back up, playing that backup guard, left guard. Harris Sewell, backup right guard. Okay. Ryan Linthicum, he graded out well as the backup center. Then you had Trent Howard. He came in and everything. So you just want, Colin Sadler as well. He played pretty much right. He played left tackle. But I'm going to tell you guys, I like what I've seen from him overall. Like I said, only 32 total snaps, right? 16 and 16 in terms of run, the split between run and pass. But he had a pass block grade of an 83.2. The only person that really graded, and I'm going down the list here, the only person that really truly graded out poorly in pass protection on the O-line was Blake Miller. But I think the offensive line in general looked good. They still ran the ball well, right? I think 200 200 yards, I believe, right? And so I feel good about that, over 200 yards in that game. We know what they did against Duke's defensive line. It was almost 300 yards rushing, 290 yards, and we saw a plethora of running backs and everything. But I really want to commend the offensive line, guys. The numbers of the offensive line did good. I can't wait to watch the tape so I can see just how dominant they really were, right? In terms of the run game, how were they moving guys off the ball? Did I see physicality and everything like that? Did they what we call resetting the line of scrimmage? I want to see that stuff. But also, just what the pass sets look like. Our guys getting out of the blocks, so they're getting out of their stances with quickness and explosiveness and being dynamic, going backwards, right? But not only that, our guys getting to their landmarks. Are they redirecting well if a guy tries to cross face? All of those things, right? Are they passing off twists and stunts well, communicating with one another? All those things matter. So I think the offensive line, it was just an encouraging performance. I think Cade felt, you kind of could tell Cade felt more comfortable, especially after that interception. He got into a rhythm and he felt more comfortable. We start seeing him make throws a little bit further down the field and into the coverage and into the void of the coverage, and like I said, in the intermediate portion of the field. So I was very looking at these numbers, are impressive. Looking at this offensive line, granted, it's Charleston Southern, and I totally understand that, guys. But I'm not going to sit here and not give these guys credit, because if they all were in the 40s in terms of pass block grade, we would be killing them, right? So they took care of business. And they handled what they needed to handle. Now, what's next is Florida Atlantic and getting more and more comfortable, more and more, building more and more in the chemistry. And I would say, again, early in that game, man, if Blake Miller is not playing well, if he's getting beat, the coaches need to make a decision. And I would like to see Colin Sadler at their right tackle spot. Across from Christian Lay, I'm sorry, and just let those guys be your two young tackles. Truly. I don't care about who's a senior, who's a junior, who's a freshman, who's a sophomore. I don't care about any of that. I care about winning games. I care about protecting our quarterback. That's what I care about. Okay, so I want to see better play. Right, Walker Parks rebounded. Blake Miller, not so much. All right, he was okay from the view, but like I said, I got to watch the tape, and I can't wait to get into the tape to see how he really really how he played and studied it. How does he handle guys that are showing inside, that's kind of shaded inside, but then work outside, work shaded outside, work inside. Was he getting bull rushed? I think I did see him get bull rushed once or twice. So I just want to look into it and see what's going on, but just he has to be better overall. But shout out to the offensive line. But guys, thank y'all for tapping in with me. That is the show, man. We talked about the offensive line and how they rebounded for the most part. Still no deep passes in this passing attack, and this needs to change before Florida State comes to town in 2 weeks. And then the pass rush, they got to get back there and not just create pressure, but they need to get sacks. Only 2 sacks on the season, 31 total hurries and pressures. This needs to change if the defense wants to be the best complement for said offense. So guys, thank y'all for making Locked On Clemson your first listen today and every day. Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, to get the latest episode as soon as it's available. We're over 700 on YouTube in terms of subscribers. Let's keep pumping that number up. Subscribe to the channel. Remember, FTA for the algorithm. Comment for the algorithm. Talk to me, because I do talk back. When you subscribe, hit the bell notification so you're notified. Appreciate everybody for tapping in with me on Saturday for the instant reaction. Everybody's going back to view that streaming as well. Keep running those numbers up, guys. And on tomorrow, like I said, once I get a chance to watch the film, I'm going to bring that back to you guys and give my final take. The film speaks for everything. Give my final take on what the film says for us. And other than that, guys, listen, as always, man, you can find me on Twitter at DP_NFL. Talk to me, because I do talk back. Come and join the conversation again tomorrow on Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Go Tigers.